Santa Paula Times, and this is our education update with Santa Paula Unified School District. Today is Thursday, November 19th, and our guest is Principal Ron Briggs of Isbell Middle School, and he's going to give us updates on a lot of the programs that are there in actually our city's only middle school, as it were, in the school district. It's a big school. Good morning, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing well, Peggy. Thank you. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I've got a bad eye, so that's why I'm wearing the sunglasses. So, but anyway, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your career with the school district?
Yeah, sure. I graduated from UCSB with a degree in environmental science and philosophy, and immediately went into teaching.
Oh.
And I taught science at Hueneme High School for 19 years. So I taught oceanography and AP environmental science. And then I went into, got my administrative credential at CalU, and went to work at a high school in Ventura for 3 years as an assistant principal. And then I became a middle school principal, and this is my third year here at Isbell.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, what's the student body at Isbell? What's the number of students approximately when it's in session and everybody's there?
A little over 1,100 right now. Yeah, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that a larger enrollment than the high school?
No, the high school's around, I think, 1,500 or so.
Okay, that's right. Well, you certainly you're the main feeder to the high school and to people's high school educations. Now, I know they've got some great programs at Isbell, and I know they've expanded the science classes and also pathways. So if you could let us know a little bit more about that and exactly what a pathway is also, please.
Yeah, sure. So, what a pathway is basically, we give students a choice of some subject they're interested in. Typically it's, agriculture or design or engineering, it could be hospitality. And then we offer them classes that are sequential so that they can continue. They take one class, they get a little bit of information, and then kind of whet their appetite, and then they continue along and get more advanced work all the way through the high school. And so that's what a pathway is.
So a pathway is basically a career pathway.
Yeah, and again, it could be
a strong interest pathway, which often leads to the career.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so the ones we have, some of the things that we have here, and we try to align with some of the high school pathways. And so we do have one of them is environmental science, and so the high school is going to be working on having an environmental science program, but we have an environmental science club and environmental science class taught by Miss Davidson. And so the students learn, they learn about ecology and, the workings of the local environment. They go on a lot of field trips. This past year or last year, I started in the mountains and ended up at the ocean, and, kind of learned about the animals and kind of also the history of the area, geologic history, and how it all interacts. And then they take the things that they learn in the field and they bring it back to the classroom.
Oh, that's great. That really is. Now, I know that the focus at the middle school is on social emotional learning. And could you explain what that is? I mean, that's such an interesting concept.
Yeah, sure. So, students at school, they're, we need to teach them academics, but we also need to teach them social skills. And, a lot of, especially at the middle school, it's really important. A lot of us, the way we deal with crisis and trauma and, things that happen in our lives as adults, we learn how to deal with those things in middle school. It's kind of those formative years. And so, the skills specifically are, relationship skills, self-awareness, self-management, for your emotions, responsible decision-making, and social awareness, how your actions affect others. And so those are 5 of the skills. Also, if you're teaching social emotional skill work, you also would work on mindfulness techniques. And we also do restorative circles. So what that is, you get in groups and there's prompts that are meant to kind of make you think about things that you might not have otherwise. And so it teaches you how to deal with, all the complex kind of emotions that you feel. And so it's really important that the students have these skills, because we find that if students have better social emotional skills and they feel better about themselves and how to regulate their emotions, it'll actually translate into better academics and better performance in the classroom.
That's great. Now, when did this program start?
Well, this year, when we went into COVID, and we had to, change the way we were doing things at school, we had to change our schedule. And since it's all distance learning, we couldn't offer all the normal electives that we would normally offer. There was just no way to do it, Spanish and robotics and so forth. So we had all students, we created a class called Life Skills. And basically all students, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, their elective this year, they have their 4 core classes in PE, and then they have a life skills class. And so they're all going through this program, and we had to build the curriculum. And so these are the skills, the ones that I mentioned before. These are the skills that all the students are working on, and the teachers are helping them with.
I know it's tough being a middle school kid. I mean, it could be very, emotional, and kids, and especially now, I mean, everybody's off balance to a certain extent. And I think that's just a wonderful program. I would hope they continue that when everybody's back in school. Let me ask, does the high school, and I know that's not your forte, but I'm going to ask anyway, do they do any financial education as far as handling a budget? Maybe that would be something good to start kids in middle school along with their math. And all
I totally agree. When I graduated from high school and I went to work for 5 years, I didn't go to college right out of high school. So I had to work for the next 5 years before I found my way back into college. And that's one thing I didn't know how to do, is balance a checkbook, and I didn't know anything about investments and all those skills that are really important. I'm not sure what the high school offers, but I agree that it's something we should start teaching the kids early, just things about credit, credit cards. And like you said, I don't know if anyone has a banking account to balance their checkbook anymore, but they should understand the principles of saving and keeping a balanced budget, and living within your means, etc.
Oh, that would be great. They could also reward the kids with like gold chocolate coins, or not even that, but just, okay, and that's your account. You
Right.
did this class, so we're giving you $100, and how are you going to handle it? But anyway, that's that would be fun. I like the idea. But anyway, now the 6th grade school within a school model is a very interesting program. How does that work?
Well, when I first got here 3 years ago, it's a middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th. I went to as a student in Ojai. I grew up in Ojai, and we were a K. You went to one of the K6s, and then you all went to junior high, 7th and 8th grade. So in some schools, school districts operate that way. It mostly depends on enrollment and where you have room at the schools. But with the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade model, when I got here the first year, the nutrition break, when all the kids get their 15, 20-minute break in the morning, and then lunchtime, 40-minute break in the afternoon, they all were together, all the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And what I noticed, and what we noticed, my administration team, is the 6th graders, they behave differently, meaning they, being around the older kids, they kind of had to grow up too fast, possibly, and so, and it, there'd be behavior issues, and also, bullying and different things as the 6th graders tried to kind of act like the 7th graders. And it was a lot of students at one time out, on the school grounds during the breaks. And so what we did is we had the 6th grade have their own bell schedule, so that they had their own nutrition break and their own lunch. That's one part of it. And what we found is, as we guessed, but it is even more than we had expected, they acted really silly, right? They kept acting like little kids, which is, they still are in a lot of cases. Everybody matures at a different rate, and being 10 or 11, it's a big span there in terms of maturity levels. So the students who were still wanted to act like kids and play around, et cetera, and not have to be too serious, they have that opportunity now. and then they don't have to try to change their behavior to fit in with the older kids. So, and it's been, it was a big success before we went home in March, when COVID hit. And then also they're, it's a transition time. So they go from elementary school where they're a little, kind of isolated with one teacher all day and sort of protected that way. And then they're thrown into a 1,100 student middle school with big kids, and so, and also the secondary schedule is 6 teachers. So, if you go from 1 teacher to 6 teachers, that's a lot. It's a big change in a hurry. And so at the middle school, they have basically, well, when we're not in COVID, they have 2 teachers. So they'll take 3 of their core classes with 1 teacher and 3 of their core classes with another teacher. And so what we did was we created teacher teams so that if you and I, Peggy, were teaching and I was the science math teacher and you were the social studies history teacher, you and I would have the same students so that we could, so we would be able to work with each other for parent conferences and also, supporting the students. So we made teacher teams as part of the component of kind of the school within a school. And then we moved a lot of teachers around so that all the sixth grade classes were out in the portables. So they were all in one location, which was also nice. So even during passing periods, they were just with themselves. So it was working really well. So we're looking forward to getting back to a normal schedule and bringing kids back to school and continuing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to coming back to school in a second. Now, one-to-one technology in all classes, and how does that work?
Well, there's 2 ways of having devices in students' hands. One is a take-home, 100% take-home, where the students take the devices home and they bring them, back to school every day. And so we haven't gone to that yet at the district. But when I got here, a handful of teachers had class sets of Chromebooks. Some did, some didn't. Some had like maybe 12 desktops. But as as we're moving along in technology, we were able to, with site funds, make sure that every class had a Chromebook cart full of Chromebooks. So every class, every single teacher has a class set, and that way they can have the students, use them more frequently and more consistently. And it turned out to be a really good benefit as we went into distance learning, because in March, when all the students had to go home and come back and check out Chromebooks, they all knew how to use them. So we were pretty lucky we had started that. But again, it's just to get the technology in their hands. So it's a lot of the other school districts have one-to-one or have take home, and we didn't here. And so we wanted to make sure the students had had the same opportunities as the other ones in the other districts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a great program. I know that Chromebook thing. It's I guess the only, and it does make such a difference that they already had experience with them. Now, why don't we look at early academic outreach program at the middle school?
Yeah, so EAOP, Early Academic Outreach Program, is at least for our for our district, it's a partnership with UCSB, and the high school has it as well. It's typically a high school program, and then so there's an additional counselor that comes from UCSB to help students with college. And what I mean by that is, a lot of students, I grew up in a situation where my parents didn't go to college. My 3 older sisters didn't go to college. And it just wasn't expected. And I didn't, like I said before, for 5 years, and lucky I even found my way back, to that path. And so a lot of students, they don't have the expectation that they're going to college, because it's, their first, they'll be first time college attendees if they go, and they don't have the supports at home because, a lot of the parents don't understand how it works. And so what the program, it does a lot of things. First thing it does is tries to help the students think of themselves as college students and see that college is an option for them. A lot of the roadblocks are, we don't have the money, I can't leave home. There's a lot of roadblocks that stop us from thinking that, it's something we can do. And so we try to remove those roadblocks with that program. And so we, do classroom presentations with the students, and for the middle school it's a little different because they're not applying to colleges yet. We're just trying to get them thinking about it, so when they get to high school, they'll realize they need to get good grades in high school so that they can be successful and have those options. So we teach them things of the importance of homework and organization in classroom presentations. We do parent workshops where the parents come and learn about, basically, again, not only to show them how to do it, but also to make them, help them believe that they can do it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and we do also college trips. So all the kids, they all have an opportunity. Last year we went to UCSB, Cal State Channel Islands, St. Thomas Aquinas, and I believe UCLA. And so we mix it up. So we go to different schools, take them on tours, campus tours, so they can kind of feel like, oh yeah, this is something that I could do. And then we have, a counselor here, and her name's Laura Garcia, and she does a great job. She's got we've converted one of the classrooms downstairs into the EAOP center, and it's a place parents can come and parents and students can come and get help. And so we're just trying to work really hard to get the students to start thinking about college at an early age.
That's wonderful. Well, they always say that like households where, and our student population doesn't always have that home support, but they would love it, but they just can't imagine that their child could go to college in some cases, like you'd explained. But, I know that they always say that children that are brought up in households where they talk about them going to college that's the next logical step, go to college. So that is quite a bit of it is working with parents. I think that's a wonderful program. I've thought it was wonderful at the high school, and I think it's super great at the middle school level, because that just really gets them started ahead of time. I think that's great. I'm delighted to hear that. And God knows I'm not delighted to hear a lot lately, but I'm delighted to hear that. Now now a bad subject, COVID-19. What's going on with the schools? I know we're doing distance learning.
Yeah, so we were prepared in August or July. We were prepared to do a kind of a hybrid model where we were going to have some students here and some do distance learning, but then the cases got so bad that we had to go to full distance learning. And so what we did at the middle school is like I said, we created the life skills class as one of the classes, and then there are other 5 core classes, and all the students right now are in 3 classes. So they're taking half of their coursework during semester 1, and it's a compressed schedule. So it's going to go faster. It's going faster than it would otherwise, but they only have 3 classes to navigate. And then when the second semester starts, or kind of the second year for them, they will take their other 3 classes that they're not currently enrolled in right now. And it's all distance learning. So all the teachers have developed, and they've done a phenomenal job developing their Google Classrooms. They've been in a lot of classrooms recently, and the technology that the teachers are employing and what they're using to get the students engaged is, like I said, phenomenal. And so it's full distance. The students log in with their Chromebooks, attend class, and just like a normal class day. And we may come back second semester. We may not. We were getting prepared to. We actually are prepared to. We were in the red for the county for COVID cases, and if we had stayed in the red for 2 weeks, then we could open back up and bring students back. Of course, we're giving families a choice. If we do open schools back up, families can still choose to stay in the distance learning model if they don't feel it's safe, or they have some reasons that they need to do that. And so if we do open back up in January, that'd be the earliest the middle school does, is January 5th is the first day of school in the second semester. If we were to open up, we would have approximately 50% of our students stay on full distance learning, because that's what the families have chosen via surveys. And the other, 50% or so would come to school 2 days a week. Monday will be distance learning for everyone, so everybody's home on Mondays. And then they'll be in 2 cohorts, an A or a B. And the A cohort would come on Tuesdays and Thursdays and sit in a classroom, no more than 12 per class. And, unfortunately, the teacher can't interact with them, and everyone's wearing masks, etc. And they would have their, while they're being taught in the classroom, there'll be simultaneous teaching for the other students in their same class that elected to stay home and distance learning. So the students in the classrooms would open up their Chromebooks. The students at home would be opening up their Chromebooks, and the teacher will be teaching simultaneously to both groups. We'd have a modified day, meaning it's still just 3 classes. So they would get a little break between first and second period to eat, and then finish second and third period. The day would end about 12:30, and then they would go home.
Mhm.
So,
And then you're not going to have any afternoon classes. That'll be study and homework and all those other things.
correct. They go home and
Great.
you know, any like other sorts of activities. We're trying to do online clubs and things like that, but that'll all remain virtual. The students would not be able to interact with each other on campus much, except for the other, you know, maybe 10 that are in their class. And if we created cohorts so that if the student has, you know, history and math and science, let's say, for example, they would stay in their 3 rooms, and the history, math, and science teacher, when the bell rings, they would move, not the students, to limit the close contact of the students. And then we were going to be we'll be on a staggered schedule, meaning the classes would start about 15, there'd be a staggered time of 15 minutes of start times to limit the amount of students that we have to check in. Because every student that comes on campus, we have to do a safety check, a questionnaire, take their temperature, etc., before they can come onto campus. So.
Okay. Wow, that's great. Now, is there anything you'd like to add, or something I should have asked you about and I did not?
No, I think that's about it. You know, we covered a lot, and I appreciate the question.
Mascot. I know it's the little cardinal, but what is the school mascot called?
Oh, we're the Condors.
Oh, the Condors. Oh my God, no wonder it didn't look right.
Yeah.
The Condors, that's right. Oh my God. Oh, big Cardinals. Yes, absolutely. That's right. The Condors. My apologies. Yeah. And I'm really happy that you came and visited today and let the public know what's going on, and everybody. And, you know, I mean, we've had the different principals on, but when we have the principals of like the middle school, there's a lot of people that have questions, a lot more than individual elementary schools. So we appreciate it very much.
Yeah, and I just want to add, if any parents have any questions or concerns, I'm coming to school every day and answering the phones and answering emails, and they can go to our website. We have a lot of tutoring opportunities for students after school in all subjects. And if you go to the Isbell Middle School website, it's updated regularly. Everything's on there. There's a tab for tutoring to see, because we do have a lot of after school interventions for students who need the help. And my email's on there. You can send me an email if you have any questions. Call the office. The office staff is still coming in. Our counselors are still working remotely, but they are working, and there's a link on the website for a counselor request form so that students use. So if students need to speak to a counselor about anything, they can click on that form, and it takes them click on that link, and it'll take them to a Google form, and they can fill it out, and the counselors will call them that day. So we're trying to operate it as much as normal as we can under these times. Yeah, so feel free to reach out if you need anything.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Once again, we were with Ron Briggs, who's the principal of Isbell Middle School here in Santa Paula. And this is Good Morning Santa Paula, our education update. And you can watch it on kadytv.net. It'll also be broadcast on the city's website. And you can watch it on Spectrum Cable Channel 10. That's where it'll be broadcast. If you do go to kadytv.net, be sure to switch over to the YouTube and like us, or actually subscribe. It's free, and it helps brings us up to date on our broadcasting. So anyway, once again, thank you, Ron, and good work, and my compliments to the Santa Paula Unified School District teachers and principals and classified everybody. It's been so tough, and they're doing a great job. So anyway, everybody have a great weekend out there. Don't forget, wash your hands, wear your masks, and stay 6 feet away from people. And just really be careful. We're having a rough spot right now. So don't take the bite out of the spike. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.